Welcome back to my Stellaris Overexplained series. Last episode, I got to the point where I picked my first tradition, and I claimed my first system. Soon my colony ship will be ready to go, and I'll be able to get my first planet of the game. So here's another anomaly. This is the easiest level of anomaly that you can get. This is just level 1. So this guy right here is also level 1, so this only takes 100 days. It would take 120 days. But because of the discovery traditions that I just got, it's now only 100 days. It's going to take me a while to get my next colony ship because I'm still working on my first one, and I can only build one ship thing at a time at the moment because I only have one shipyard module. So I can only build one spaceship at a time. So this colony ship has to finish before I could start my next one. So it's going to be a while until I actually can get much use out of this system. So I'm going to go ahead and actually tell my science ship to research this anomaly. So anomalies you have to pick and choose because sometimes they give you good stuff, but at the same time, if it costs too much, it's better to save it for later. But if you can get it, go for it. So it depends. In this case, I'm going to go for it. The head of United Nations Earth's Physics Research Department has gone missing, along with their privately funded, highly experimental prototype science ship. This is unfortunate because, as we mentioned before, you can see there's no scientists, so I'm getting a massive research malice. And that guy was the guy that had my field manipulation thing, so I had a boost, so even if I hire a new scientist, I'm not going to get that. So this is an unfortunate event. Random events happen, and you got to deal with it, so this is bad. I can deal with this. So I definitely don't want to have no scientist in there, and I need my science ship and my scientist, so I got to hire a new one. You can click the recruit button, and you get 3 options. You can increase this pool sometimes in certain cases, and you can see their initial traits and their age. Once they get over a certain age, they'll have a chance to die progressively, and that chance will just keep increasing until it's like guaranteed. So sometimes they'll last a little longer than 80 currently is what their expected age is, but you can increase that with certain technologies and genetic modification. So I have 3 picks. I have military theory, voidcraft, and anomaly discovery chance. This person in the middle has 49 years old, so this person already is close to death somewhat, whereas this 36 is much more desirable because I'll have them for longer. And then they cost some flat out unity to buy, and this will increase for the more leaders that you currently have available and active. This cost will be higher, and then they also have an upkeep, which you can see right here. It's consumed monthly upkeep of unity, so it's important to keep track of your unity before just going for leaders. And then the first of every year, this pool will switch out, and you'll get new options. So if you're not pressured for time, and like maybe you're getting a new science ship or something, and you don't mind waiting, sometimes you can wait for it to re-roll. So I'm going to recruit this meticulous, recruit that, and then I'm going to click on my science ship. And the way that Stellaris works, leaders can be shuffled around instantly, even though it makes no sense that you could have a scientist all the way over here, another scientist all the way over here, and you can swap them out instantly. They just like teleport between the two. It makes no sense, but it's very convenient. So I have to let this guy finish his research mission, but then I can switch it out. So for now, I'm going to set her to do the technology for now. But as soon as this guy finishes, I'm going to swap out her to be in the science ship and him to be leading the research lab. And eventually the event is probably going to progress, and I'm going to learn more about my head scientist that just bolted off.
Has been updated.
Here we go. The event continues. Wanderlust with purpose. The whereabouts of the head, now technically the former head of physics research, has yet to be ascertained. It is clear that United Nations of Earth's interest to find and recover the chair as soon as possible. The situation log has been updated. Very well. So, looking here at the situation log, there are some locations. If I click this kind of overarching category, I can just click this track on map, and I can quickly see where they might have been. You have to send a ship in to actually check this out, and then it'll kind of progress stuff. I'll eventually get to that, but it's not an immediate concern. I would rather get this planet up and running than I would find my scientist, because I already have another scientist, and that's okay. I can wait a little bit to get that guy back. Oh, and one other thing is that I'm looking at my planet, and I have enough minerals to get my industrial district. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to start building. And the important thing to look at is this is going to be every time you buy something, always check for what the upkeep of it is. Always look at your upkeep. So it's going to cost 2. So I know that once this finishes, a surplus of 73 energy credits. So I need to keep that in the back of my head that every time I'm doing that, that's ticking away at my monthly surplus. So I'm going to need to find a way to increase that. So eventually I'm going to want to consider getting a generator district, which I'm going to do from this planet here that I know is already going to be in my energy district planet. I'm thinking I'll go with a mineral district first because I'm fine on energy, but I am getting pretty low on minerals, particularly because this industrial district is going to cost me a lot of minerals because these jobs have a huge upkeep of minerals, the metallurgists and artisan jobs. So the anomaly is almost finished. We just got some science that it's just going to be directly applied. And now I'm going to switch her into that science ship and then him into the research slot. And then she's just going to, if you do it without unpausing the game, if you switch them out and then like while the game's moving, then like their orders will be canceled because they can't do it when there's no scientists. But if you do it while it's paused, they'll just continue doing exactly what they're already ordered to do. And I know after it finishes surveying this, I'm going to move here and survey that. I could maybe find my scientist here. It's one of the potential planets that he's at. Probably not. I'm probably going to have to go all of these, and he's going to be at the last one I go to, just knowing video games. I have quite a bit of energy credits. And what I'm probably going to do with that is this sprawling slums give me a pop. So I'm going to finish this industrial district, and then I'll immediately clear this sprawling slums. I know I'm going to queue that up. That way, I can fill out those jobs that are missing. So the way that these tiers work is that in most cases, workers want to be, or basically pops want to be the highest tier that they can. So generally, rulers will fill up first, then specialists, and then workers. So once I build this, I'm going to have 2 new specialist jobs. So these guys are going to rush up and take those jobs. And then I'm going to be left with less minerals or food or whatever it is that decides to move up. And you can prioritize. So if I wanted to kill this crime right now, I could just wait until this pop grows and then just automatically fills that empty slot. Or if I'm like, I really need to get rid of the crime now, I don't need to, I'm not concerned about it. But if I did want to get rid of that, the option that I would have is, say there's something I don't want. I could click this little tab and I can see every single person that's working these jobs. And this is important if you have a bunch of different species. And people can, each individual pop subscribes to a certain faction, which is important because a unhappy faction means you could have a planet where these pops would be really unhappy because of the faction they're a part of. But I'll talk about that when I get to factions. So you can see all of your pops. So say, I don't really need this much food. I'm going to decrease the priority of food by 1. That automatically fills this enforcer job. And I could leave this, or I can just restore the job, and now I know it's automatically going to fill up this. The other thing that you can do, say that I'm like, I actually need food. I can click on this job and favorite it, and it will prioritize this job over any of the other jobs of the tier. You can favorite 1 per tier. So that's a way that you can really fine-tune your control over your planet and exactly what jobs are being worked, because certain things aren't immediately important to you, like food. This will drop my food, but I don't need a massive surplus of food. So this colony ship has just finished, very appropriately timed. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click on this planet that I found and hit Colonize Planet. And then I want to immediately get worked on my next colony ship. So I'm going to spend the rest of my energy to buy more alloys. And that will give me enough to build another colony ship. I'll have enough to get this starbase as soon as this survey is complete. And when a colony ship actually hits the world, and you'll see in just a moment, it takes a while for them to actually even give you the population screen. It'll be working on colonization. So this colony ship's getting in position, and then they're going to start landing.
A new unity.
It's the first colony. I'm going to get some engineering, and you can see right here, it's colonizing the planet. And it's approximating that this planet will be ready on the first 205. I can't do it right now, but you can open the features tab, and if you have the technology researched, I don't, you could preemptively clear the blockers while you can't use the planet right now. There's nothing you can do on it useful. You can't get any resources out of it. So you might as well, in this phase, spend the time to start clearing out these blockers. And then I also have a new tradition available. So You can either, when you have a new tradition available, get one of these traditions, which will lead to making more available, or you can start working on a new tree. Ascension perks require you to finish a tree, but it's not always the priority to get ascension perks right away. Sometimes you want to get the early bonuses of another tree. So expansion is one that I often get, not always, but if I look here, if I adopt this, it'll give me 25% colony development speed, which means that instead of 2205, I'll get this just a little bit sooner. So that's a consideration. I might go for expansion, and I know that expansion leads to making influence costs for Starbase cheaper. That influence cost for claiming these, once all of these are claimed, you're never really going to be doing it again. There are rare cases where you'll be claiming new territory, like if it gets destroyed in some way. But for the most part, once the borders get locked in like 50 years or so, I'm not even going to be using influence to buy these. I'm going to use it to get claims on other people's territory if I'm going to go for militarist style playthrough, which I'm not, because I'm xenophile and egalitarian. But so this is important earlier. The other thing that's important here is colonization fever, which new colonies start with an additional pop. They normally just start with one. So this kickstarts your planets just a little bit faster. So I like expansion, but if I'm going to be playing a tall game where I know I'm not going to get a lot of territory, or don't expect to, I might not go for expansion. But if you're going to go for expansion, usually it's better to go for this earlier. Whereas something like diplomacy, I wait until I've met other empires so I can actually get use out of it. Because right now, I don't get any use out of this. Expansion and discovery, there's a limited time that I can get anything out of it. So once enough of the galaxy's been explored and claimed, there's nothing left to do. And then it becomes useless. So I could go for even more survey speed and science chip disengagement chance. And that means that if one of my science ships gets attacked, they're more likely to go missing in action and basically like narrowly escape and then eventually come back to my territory than they are to outright die, which is nice for keeping your scientists alive because you can spend a lot of unity and stuff on them. Research alternatives is great for more control, but it's not super essential. I will always be doing research, so this will always be useful for me. Whereas this one is only useful to me like right now. So really it's a choice between to boldly go or to start my expansion tree. And considering how close I am to planets and getting them so early, I'm going to go for the expansion tree first. I'm going to get the colony development speed and then colonization fever. Hopefully before, as long as you get colonization fever before this colonization finishes, you'll get the 2 pops. So I'm going to try to get to colonization fever before either of my new colonies get made. Expansion traditions, and then if I check this, now it's only September of 2204 instead of January of 2205. So it knocked a couple months off. And that pick really could have gone either way, according to your preferences. Wanderlust, dead end. He's not in this system. As I effect, this lead was a dud, and the trail has gone cold. But as moving here, I can see even further. So, interesting information. I can see that this is my choke point up here. This pulsar system is a really key one, because if I can go grab this system, that system, this system, and this system, if I get that, I control all of these these 4. I don't have to actually get them, but I'll own them if I own this, because I can block everyone off from them. So this is a really key system for me to aim to get, and I think I should be able to. It's not too far away. It's important to get a view of how the hyperlanes all connect up as early as possible so you can determine where your choke points are. Also over here you can see this is a choke point, so I get 1, 2, 3, and that one will be mine. It's not too big of a deal. And the other thing is finding what directions you want to actually send your science ship, because you have different directions. I have down here, I have up here, I have over in this direction, I have over this. So I kind of have 3 directions to go in. So I might want like 3 science ships. So I'm probably going to work on getting another science ship after this colony ship. So I'm going to just go ahead and queue it up right now, because I'd like to get another scientist out and surveying so I can have 1 going north, 1 going south, and eventually another going west. In 9 days, you see right here, Industrial District is complete. Now I have 2 more available jobs, and immediately clerks moved up to take these jobs, and if I wait a month, this planet is now producing even more. These numbers only update every month, so the technically I'm producing more, but it won't tell me that I'm producing more until a month has passed. But you can see that dropping the clerks, these provide amenities, which means that my planet is going to be less happy because of these amenities, and happiness ties into stability. It's not a big deal right now, but I think these clerks, they also produce trade value. And trade value right now, every trade value is 1 energy credit. It's more important for me to have clerks because that gives me energy. Because this will drop, it will drop 10. I'll lose 10 energy credits by moving these clerks out because of the trade value they're producing. So this is more important. Clerks are more important to me than farmers. So I'm going to prioritize clerks, and then I'm going to reduce the amount of farmers to force the technicians, because farmers are not important to me, but instead clerks are. So then this passes, and now you can see up here, now I have a healthy consumer goods, and as long as I don't increase my use of them, I should be able to get this thing by the end of the time. I have 2 free jobs available. So I feel comfortable using minerals for things other than jobs on my planet. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up this energy because these outposts cost me 1 upkeep. So holding this territory, these 2 territories, is costing me 1 upkeep apiece. So if I get this, I won't have any upkeep for these 2 outposts. So this is valuable to me so that I'm not paying to hold these territories. The only Starbase mining that doesn't cost you an upkeep is energy, because it produces energy, so it doesn't need an upkeep of energy. It auto detracts it. So you can see right here, there's no upkeep on the energy mining station. And then my other colony ship is done. I'm going to send it to colonize this world. Oh, and I have finished my science ship, and I have a little more information. That's a choke point over there, and that's a choke point over there. That's kind of what I expected from seeing that. And I'm going to go ahead and recruit another scientist, and there's another meticulous scientist. You're never going to discover anomalies here, so don't put someone with faster survey speed or anomaly-related perks or traits here, because then you're never going to get any use out of their traits. So try and put them in a place where they're using their traits. Longer age here is good, usually. People in science ships might die, due to the dangers of space. So it doesn't really matter if they have extra lifespan, if they're just going to get blown up. So I'm going to go ahead and go towards this so that I can start going down here, maybe find my head scientist. So I'm probably going to go this way. I have a unemployed pop, and this person's very unhappy, and they're just wasting upkeep without actually doing anything useful. And that's because I deprioritize farmer. They won't work that job, even though there are technically the capacity for job, but they're disabled, and it won't work it until you re-enable it. So I'm going to go ahead and click restore jobs. That means that these jobs will be reprioritized, and that person can move up and take a job there. But I'm going to go ahead and right-click on the system and build mining stations, and it'll go and build both of these for 200 minerals, and that's worth it to me. So there's only 150 days, which is worth it for me. That's not too long. I can take that. Once this gets over 200, I would start to question whether you get it, but if it's under 200, I think it's usually worth it. So this planet also, so both of my planets have a reduction in habitability because of these planetary modifiers. And these are sometimes good, sometimes bad, and sometimes in between. And some of these are temporary, and some of them are permanent. So prosperous unification is a temporary thing. I only have it for 5,815 more days. And that's basically because of my origin. So we're getting extra happiness, amenities, and resources from jobs. So when this goes up, you'll notice a sudden drop in all of these because of that resource production. So it's important to think about like long-term what might happen. So like this governor is giving me plus 4% resources from jobs. So if she died, and particularly if they're a higher level governor, and they also are producing extra research because they're intellectual from my researchers are producing better. It's important to check what all of the modifiers are affecting your empire, and if one of those like suddenly disappears or changes, it can have a rather profound effect on your economy. So that's why it's usually good to have a decent surplus. And if you're too low, something unexpected might happen and throw you into a deficit. So I have two options here, and a lot of events will have two options, and you can see exactly what that option will do in most cases. Sometimes it'll hide it from you and it gives a kind of uncertain answer. But in this case, we have two options, and some of these are determined by your ethics and other things like that. So I could click this button and get 447 unity right now. Or for 5 years, I could get a xenophile ethics attraction and some pop happiness. So xenophile ethics attraction, basically in your empire, if you go to here in the factions, you can see what your pops are likely to believe in, what their philosophy is likely to be. And this is affected by many things, such as events like this. And if you have a high ethics attraction, they're likely to switch. So right now on Earth, we have just these two. But say I had an attraction for militarist, then some of my pops might switch over from egalitarian and xenophile over to militarist. And if that happens, I don't have any factions yet, but I might have a rogue militarist faction that I don't want because they'll be unhappy with the way that I run my empire. So it can be a problem. You have to deal with your factions. They might not agree with your empire, and it can cause some instability. Particularly, that becomes a big problem when you conquer an alien world. If you're a very militarist, sometimes you'll get a new planet, but they believe different things than you. And it can take a long time to get them back under your control and actually believe in you. And you can have a rogue faction that makes that planet really hard to keep under control. So, but right now I already have a lot of happiness. My worlds are already very happy, particularly because of this civic right here, Idealistic Foundation. So I don't really need happiness. Happiness influences planet stability. And planet stability gives you bonus for resources from jobs and trade value and immigration pull. So all very good stuff. It's really important. If it's over 50, you get a bonus, and if it's under, you get a negative. And if it's too low, you could have a rebellion. I don't think it's possible to have a rebellion on your capital, though. So this isn't useful to me. Gift from mysterious benefactors is really useless. So I want the unity. That's more useful to me because that unlocks my next pick, and that allows me to get colonization fever, which means that new colonies start with one additional pop. And because I have it before these colonies are founded, they're just in the progress of setting up their initial cities and whatever. That means these planets are basically going to get one free pop apiece. So I'm going to grab that. So yeah, more pops is great. I got a new trait. So they gain statecraft. Okay, that's interesting. Scientist, just a good thing to note whenever someone gets a trait. It's important to know what traits you have available to you. Because if I look here in technology, I might get a statecraft thing when I finish. In 9 months, I'm going to finish up this pop growth speed, and then I might get a statecraft. So I'll switch her in if I get a statecraft thing to get that a little bit faster, or I can just leave her on the science strip. Oh, I didn't actually check an important thing to do. Horizon. This planet that I'm settling, what does it do well? So it has more physics research from jobs, but it has minus to happiness and habitability because of wild storms. So I can know that physics research from jobs, so this planet will probably be a research planet at some point later down the road. And don't feel too attached to once you build a district that's locked in forever. If you need to switch something out later into the game, totally use these replace buttons. And the way that the replace button works is that you'll work that job until it's finished here in the queue, and then it'll immediately switch it over. That way you're not wasting any time with unemployed pops. So the replace button is really nice, and you can do that with the buildings as well. So I highly recommend using the replace button over the demolish. But yeah, don't feel scared to switch things out. I think it's usually worth it when you need it right now. Like I'm gonna need minerals right now, or say maybe I need a bunch of agriculture, and this first colony is gonna suck at agriculture and food. Maybe I don't want agriculture on Earth, and instead I get some agriculture here. But later down the line, when I find a better agriculture planet, I might switch off and go research here. I don't know which direction I want to send my construction ship. I might send it up here. I might send it down here. This has a lot of minerals on it, so I'll probably go for this and get these minerals in space. And I am lacking minerals severely, so I know in advance I want to grab this system first. So I'm going to send my construction ship up here, and most likely I'm going to want to put a starbase here. Because you can see, that protects me from this direction and this direction. So there's a lot of places that this starbase would protect me. If I upgrade a starbase here, I probably will want to upgrade it so that I can get, because starbases, the ones you upgrade them, you can get defensive things, or you can pick up trade and things like that. I don't usually build more than 2 construction ships unless I'm doing something particular like the hyper relay network. The hyper relay network, it's nice to have like 5 or 6. But other than that, in the early game, I might build a second one if I need it. But for right now, I don't have a excess of influence, so really just 1 is fine. But science ships I do like to get like 3 or 4. But they do cost unity, so it's kind of this balance between, yeah, sure, I could get another scientist and science ship up and running, but that means I won't get this tradition as fast, so it's good to balance it out. Alright, so my colony just finished. And as I can see here, I have 2 pops. These colonist jobs disappear as soon as you upgrade your reassembled ship center into a planetary administration. Then they switch out for other types of jobs, but you have to have at least 10 people on your planet before you can make that switch into it being more of an established planet than just a colony. And right now, this is designated to just automatically just be whatever the game decides is the best pick for the auto designation. And colony designation gives you 5 stability, some amenities, and some happiness, and makes people more likely to move here automatically. So if, say, on Earth, I had a unemployed worker, when a worker is unemployed, they have a chance. I'm democratic, so I get a 50% automatic resettlement chance. And then also, this is a colony, so that's an extra 25%. So if I had like an unemployed pop on Earth, there's a 75% chance that it will go from here and it'll move over here. And this is different than immigration. I can see here, a population is growing, and you can see this little, the stick and bag, basically, the migration symbol. And now you can see on Earth, I'm losing 1.3 monthly pop growth. So this used to be like 3.5 monthly pop growth, but now it's only 2.4. So Earth is not growing as quickly. I'm not filling out pops as quickly on Earth. But here, on this planet, I'm getting plus 1.3. So this planet is going to get pops faster because people are like, I want that new frontier land on this new planet. So that's what these people are doing. They're more excited to move to what's considered to be fresh, empty land, even if it's not completely empty in all cases. So that's what migration is, and this becomes really easy to track with 2 planets. You can see it's just 1.3. But migration treaties, which you can get with other empires, can get it from, you could basically have someone over here is moving to someone over here. So you could be getting this where every planet in your empire has migration and every planet in their empire has a decrease to population growth. So that's where immigration becomes an important part of the game, because you could kind of take away populations from other people, and that's why being friendly is really important. Because a xenophobe that doesn't let anyone into their territory isn't going to get any of these bonuses. And my people are nomadic. So if I go here to species, you can see one of my traits. You have different traits that affect things. So I'm getting plus 10 habitability, which means that these planets, they're 85, but otherwise they'd be 75. So these malices would be even worse if I was just a different species. But my species can deal with these planets just a little better, which is really nice. And they're nomadic. So my species is built in a way that I'm going to want a lot of colonies, and I'm going to want my species on a lot of different planets because they can do it. It means I'm going to lose more from Earth, but these planets are going to fill up faster, which is nice. It's worth it, because the key thing to note is that Earth is going to produce more because there's already a lot of population on Earth. Obviously, it requires population to make more population. So if you only have like 2 people, you only have 2 people making people, if that makes any sense. And on the fact that this isn't as habitable, so I'm getting minus 7% to growth speed. So it's better if they grow on Earth that gets no minus, and then move to here that has a minus, than it is if they grow here, because it'll be slower if they grow here. So migration is really important. I don't feel that took me a long time to learn how that all works. The game doesn't really tell you this. Like, the game in the tutorial, at least when I did the tutorial, which was years ago, so I have no idea what the current tutorial is like in the game, but it more tells you about, like, energy credits and, like, how to colonize worlds, but it doesn't really tell you how migration works. I don't feel like. It probably doesn't tell you how migration works, so it's important to understand that. Alright, I'm going to call the episode there. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and if I finish the next episode, you should see it on screen about now. Alright, bye.